scientific method cannot justify the scientific method. Therefore, it itself is a dogmatic religious presupposition.
You guys hear me?
Okay, well, I look forward to it. I heard your debate with Nicholas Fuentes, and I thought that was very entertaining, and so I respect your debate skills, that's for sure.
Well, thank you. I've yet to lose a debate, actually.
Can you guys hear me? Alright, I think we can get started now.
Model, the
yeah, when YouTube...
incremental, slow kill, Fabian approach to bringing technocracy into being.
When Mac updated to the new Catalina, OBS doesn't work with it. So you have to find all these patches and workarounds, and now OBS doesn't update. It can't update. So thank you to the assholes who just gave thumbs down because I've been trying to fix this problem that Apple has. So it's not my fault. I'm having to do workarounds for something that's not my fault. So if you would smash like there, and I'll go ahead and start. Yeah, it's not.
They don't need to.
There's problems with Apple.
Shadow global government.
And a lot of people have been making videos on how to get around this problem because I think what's happening is that they don't really want people doing this kind of stuff. I mean, the live streaming and all that and doing their own content. They want people to go back to the normie tier material. So obviously they're not that interested. Anyway, so I'm going to have to switch to Zoom doing this stuff. Obviously, it's going to have to be Zoom. But if you guys can hear me, then welcome. You like my high top fade? I look like kid and play at once. I'm both kid and play. Yeah, I know. Audio's okay. If you would smash like to counteract the haters that are just being douchebags. They're mad because of the So somebody hit thumbs down. Like putting thumbs down is gonna help me or cause me to solve Catalina's problems, right? Like that's my issue. So let me add this to the to my page here. Customize this, put this on the front page, and then we'll be ready to go. So it looks like it is on the main page. So maybe we're okay. Yeah. So again, I think I'm going to have to just switch to Zoom because you can hardly patch Skype into OBS without a bunch of gay stuff to add. You have to get all this stuff that took like 6 hours to get that straight. Tristan and I doing it. Has nothing to do with Boomer. I mean, half you guys saying it Boomer Tech. You guys don't even do streams. You're talking about Boomer Tech. Dude, I've been doing this for like 4 fucking years. So now that we're all, it's the demons, dude. It's the demons trying to get at my stream. It's them demons trying to possess the exorcism stream. There's a curse on this movie, according to Hollywood bullshit, right? Now, I'm trying to figure out how to start this stream out because some of these are terrible. Exorcist 2 is one of the worst movies ever made. You know that? It is. It's one of the worst movies ever made. I got hair in my face. It's really weird too, but there's all these drug elements. I mean, like big pharma elements. What the fuck is going on with my eyelashes? I put my mascara on this morning and it's all up in my eye. A lot of people in the chat are just mean. They're having a bad day. Y'all having a worse day than me. It's the paparazzi. Is it Pazuzu? It's the paparazzi. They've been flashing. Papa, Pazuzu, Razzi. It's not orthodoxy, it's Coptic orthodoxy. Where's my coffee? No, I ain't got no more coffee. So we have to do this stream without coffee. Did you know the CIA produced The Exorcist? Yes, sir. Found a lot of crazy stuff on The Exorcist. So we're going to do Exorcist 1, 2, 3. Some other shitty movies. But the main meat is The Exorcist. So we're going to save The Exorcist to the end because it's all the juicy stuff. So let's do Exorcist Deuce. Drop a deuce with your boy Deuce Juicer. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. As Chill says, it's a proven fact. There's a university in Switzerland. It's a proven fact. You're a happier person if you smash that like button. Yetis are fake and gay, by the way. I'll prove that in my video that nobody will watch. I want to put the even though it gets like a zillion thumbs up. Look at his hands, dude. Look at his hands. Not only are Yetis fake and gay, so are dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are always like this. And look at how the Yeti's walking. Yeti walking like this. He's like, oh shit. He walking like this. See? So I've proven Yetis are fake and gay, dinosaurs, and also space. Because what are the aliens always doing? Butt stuff. Booyah. Proven. Vindicated. We had a really great stream last night on theology. Check that out if you missed it. Thank you to all those great super chats. But you can't be serious all the time. This is an entertainment channel. We do a lot of entertainment streams on this Saturday morning, afternoon stream. Did y'all watch your Saturday morning cartoons? Did you have your bowl of cereal, play with your G.I. Joes, and watch your Saturday morning cartoons? I hope you did. Did you let the Fruity Pebbles soak into the milk? And did you drink your sugar milk? I hope you did. It's part of a complete breakfast. As are the gay cornflakes. Did you see the gay cornflakes? So people are like, what is that thing on your picture? Yeah, you can't. The movie people, they're getting crazy about the pictures. Be careful about what picture you use. So Exorcist 2 is one of the worst movies of all time. It gets Razzies. It's won Razzies. If you want to support this channel, also you can support with Super Chats. Don't forget them Super Chats. You can also send me them Bitcoins too. If you go to my website, there's Bitcoin. You can sign up and purchase things at JaysAnalysis through Bitcoin and Litecoin as well. The address, wallet addresses are there. Let's see. So we start out in this shack chapel. It's very creepy. There is a weird altar there, and Richard Burton shows up. Do you know Richard Burton is a famous atheist? He was in that movie Becket, which all the trad Catholics like, which is a fun story. It's an interesting story if you've never seen the movie Becket. It's a classic old movie. Lord Gilbert, we excommunicate thee. Lord Gilbert, you are anathema. That's a pretty good Richard Burton impersonation. Poor Richard Burton, though, had to be in this terrible movie. And we see the girl lights on fire, self-immolation. They try to take Exorcist in this direction after the success of the first one and just go crazy with it. And, I mean, dude, part 2 is just like... part 2 is like what they would show you in a mind control experiment. Yeah, part 3 definitely recovers. Part 2 was so bad that they ignored part 2 when they did part 3. I'm not joking. And then they make Grima Wormtongue into the Zodiac Killer, which we'll cover that in a minute. But I got a lot of juicy, neat facts that y'all don't know we're going to learn about. We're going to learn some esoteric, stinkball Hollywood facts today. Now, Exorcist 2 seems to be part of the satanic panic. Or maybe kicking it off a little bit. Remember this 80s thing, the satanic panic. Now, that's relevant today because we just saw that the FBI declassified in the vault the Finders case. Now, we've covered the Finders for years. If you've been a JaysAnalysis listener for a long time, you know that we had many interviews where we discussed this with Tim. We had many interviews where we discussed this in relationship to Dave McGowan's work, Programmed to Kill. So we've been talking about the Finders, and so suddenly, now it's okay to talk about because there was we already knew about it. Why hadn't y'all been listening? Y'all don't listen. The director of Exorcist 2 also did Big with Tom Hanks, which is a dumb movie. Now, the next interesting aspect, though, so there is some weird stuff, though, in this, right? Even though this is one of the worst movies of all time, it includes MK Ultra aspects, and it has predictive elements, predictive programming elements when we think about autism, Asperger's, autism. Right. Gotta avoid all the touchy subjects because the algorithm chases you down and punishes you. Why is that? Well, because in the film they're studying these kids. They're doing tests and studying these kids. Did you notice that? And Linda Blair's going there and helping, counseling people because of her experiences, even though they ignored. Well, her experiences is part 1, right? Part 2 gets ignored. Excuse me. Once again, we have this idea of the progressives who don't believe in the devil. This keeps coming up throughout the entire series. The liberal priests, the liberal Novus Ordo priests who don't believe in the devil. Then we see that there's a dream machine, and they're analyzing and connecting to people's suppressed memories in a dream machine. What the heck? So it's like the cell. Remember the cell?
did a popular analysis of The Cell. Been read many, many, many times. Which I think is a Stephen King story, but maybe the movie, right? J-Lo and Vince Vaughn is different than the Stephen King story. But in The Cell, the same idea, hopping into people's dreams, understanding and helping them through their suppressed traumas. This is MK Ultra type. So we have basically an MK Ultra machine here, MK Ultra box. And one of the priests becomes a Satanist. They suspect that Father Marin, the one who was, I think, the exorcist in the first one, he becomes a Satanist or something, or he was a Satanist at the time of his death. And so here the theme is exorcism versus scientism, psychiatry. Tech and science and psychology can save us. Reference is made to Uri Geller bending spoons, which is interesting. And once again, we have the implementation of tech into MK Ultra. Now, the autistic kids are being studied, and we almost get the impression maybe that they think that this is the further evolution of humans. This is a trope we've covered many times. Jim Bob and I covered this. We covered it on Boiler Room. We covered it in the old Hoaxbusters interviews. The idea that maybe autism has actually been given. It's been furthered. Diet, injections and injunctions, experimentation, Salk. I did a whole talk on all that. Go find my old talks on that in the Globalism Books talks. And it would make sense given that all of these experiments and all these programs are all connected. They're not disparate. They're all under the same aegis of the same departments, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, and they're all real experiments. They're all verified. The last 3-4 months, every day is just new vindications. We're vindicated on the finders today, right? They found tunnels under the McMartin preschool. That was the media for years said, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist that doesn't exist. Oh, but wait, it's in the FBI declassified vault information today. So they're looking at spiritual problems in kids. They're looking at kids that have high gifted kids, and they are doing experiments. High IQ, right? This kind of stuff. The gifted and talented program, and they're trying to see how they can manipulate, how they can mess with them. And they talk about burgers even in the 70s, which is bizarre because we don't think about this as a 70s thing. Way ahead of its time, you see. Now, if you didn't notice it, the mom. This is something I didn't notice. It's been many years since I watched the series. Did you notice did you recall the mom is an actress, so she's Hollywood connected. Reminds us of Rosemary's Baby, right? With Cassavetes and that. And they mentioned transhumanism. Did you know that? Did you hear that they mentioned the singularity in this? And the priest is talking about how, it's going to be the new aeon. And when the new aeon comes, which they call the aeon of Satan, they say it's going to be marked by the transhumanist singularity. They actually say that in the screenplay. That was pretty wild. I was like, what? And so we see these plagues of locusts. It's very disjointed. The story is crazy, super hard to follow. That's why it's one of the worst movies of all time. Hard to pick out what's going on here, but humans will have superpowers in the future, which they're saying that the kids that are gifted and that they're experimenting on are the kids who are supposed to be the new phase of evolution. They're going to be the new children of the satanic aeon, right? The aeon of the crown and conquering child, as Crowley said. And they're experimenting with altars. They're experimenting with mirrors in MK Ultra, multiples, creating altars and multiples here. And this is relevant because it's almost as if with these biofeedback devices that they're using, they have figured out a way to electronically, it seems, cash in on and control and manipulate. Maybe not totally control, but they're trying to meld the demonic and the spiritual with tech, basically, is what's going on in this movie. This movie, again, this is so bizarre because this movie is awful. It is really dumb, super hard to follow, but it has these crazy elements that are way ahead of their time and don't make sense in this movie. Could you imagine watching this movie at the time? You'd be like, what in the world is this about? This makes no sense. What are they talking about? The satanic aeon, transhumanism? Like, hardly anybody knew what any of that was. But it's all in this crazy, razzy movie. So we have the plague of locusts. We have this tribe, northern Iraq again. We're back where the priest was studying in Exorcist 1, where he's looking for Pazuzu. He's studying the ancient god Pazuzu. That'll come up later. It's hinted at here, but if we think about Egypt and we think about the plagues, then we know that Exodus, right? God sends the plagues, the locusts, etc. And the priests are kind of going back to that region to study, and they're interacting with these animistic tribes. I think here they go to Africa. Well, they're in northern Africa because somehow he runs into the Coptic Orthodox, which also doesn't make sense. Why he goes and participates in their ritual. The Richard Burton character has like a conversion experience, right? By the way, this was a neat little tidbit that came up in reading about the film. 666 Fifth Avenue was Warner Brothers Studios' office at the time, at the top of 666 Fifth Avenue. There's something about boomer notes I put here. Way down to Kokomo. Kokomo and Reagan are the new humanity. Oh, because there's like boomer ecumenical boomers in this. The priests that are coming up in this time period, who are the liberals, they actually talk about ecumenism. They say that the ecumenist movement is the new esoteric aeon that we're entering into. And James Earl Jones plays this Mothman locust shaman who tried to cast out demons, Pazuzu, and it didn't work. And then he ends up as a scientist when he's no longer a shaman. But then when Richard Burton goes to visit him, Richard Burton undergoes a shamanic initiation by James Earl Jones as the bug shaman. It literally makes no sense. I mean, it's super hard to follow. Can anybody remember Did you guys watch Exorcist 2 and figure any of this out? I mean, it's just crazy. It's almost like the movie, again, is what you would show somebody in MK Ultra. Remember in Clockwork Orange, when they've strapped Alex down and he's like, he's having to watch all that stuff. It's like this kind of a movie. It's like, what is happening? It's just crazy. One crazy scene to the next. And it doesn't make sense. But it has all of these very, almost, it's Rosemary's Baby-esque in many ways, this one. So, yeah, that's the big takeaways from that. It predicts the rise of atheism, booty burgers, if you know what I'm talking about. Ass burgers, you know what I'm saying? There's the same old Novus Ordo liberal priests who don't believe in anything spiritual. Ecumenism is tied to the new age here. It's the new satanic aeon where the transhumanist singularity will come about as the work of Satan. The children who have special powers are evolving to be the new humanity. Remember, these were all the same themes in Childhood's End. Remember that? The TV series that we watched, that we did analysis of. And MK Ultra is there to help us evolve the humans to the new aeon. So that's all in Exorcist 2, one of the terrible, terrible, terrible movies. All right. I could have found, I'm sure, more notes and essays on Exorcist 2, but let's move on to Exorcist 3. And before we read our notes on Exorcist 3, did you know that Exorcist 3 was Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite movie? And it stars Grima Wormtongue. Remember Grima Wormtongue? As the Gemini killer. This is obviously the Zodiac, or like a bunch of, so-called serial killer events, which there's good evidence to suggest that this is not really what we've been told, this whole Zodiac nonsense. If you read, Dave McGowan's account of it, there was like Roman Polanski was going to do this big documentary on the Zodiac, and it's almost like the persona of the Zodiac was patched together of different killings, and is very Hollywood. And if you've read Programmed to Kill, Dave's book, then you know that sometimes they'll just haystack the murders onto one dude and say, oh, this guy killed 200 people, and he's like a, mentally challenged person who can hardly do anything, who actually did kill one guy maybe. And they'll say, oh, he was a serial killer. And really they're maybe stacking a bunch of unsolved crimes on that guy, or corrupt or something like that. Now, is Exorcist 3 a great movie? Some people you guys are really, I didn't think it was that good. I mean, it was okay, but it was far from great. I don't know where you're getting that. A lot of goofy stuff. Patton's in it. Patton plays the unbelieving atheist Jewish detective who is buddies with the priest, who I think is supposed to be the same priest in Exorcist 1, Father Dyer. Father Dyer. And did you notice, I just tweeted the article. Did you see that? Father Dyer from The Exorcist in real life is some Jesuit named O'Malley. Let me find you this article here. This was pretty crazy. I just saw this today. And guess what? Here's a weird Hollywood tie-in. He was accused of abuse. William O'Malley, who is a Jesuit in real life, is accused of being a creeper on a boy when he was young. This guy. Now, we have to be clear here so we don't get the Hollywood reality and the media reality, which are often overlapping, confused. But so this guy in the first Exorcist plays a character named Dyer. His real name's not Dyer. So hopefully us Dyers don't end up being a bunch of creepers. Even though I've got I have a creeper mustache right now, right? I was watching Masterminds, and remember when Jason Sudeikis has that mustache like this, and he's sent as a hitman, and Zach Galifianakis says, "Oh, I was being chased by that big old pervert looking character. He looked like a big old tall pervert with that mustache." Mastermind's is really funny, by the way, if you've never seen it. But Exorcist priest accused of abusing Rochester student. So this Jesuit priest is an actor. That's a new one on us. Jesuit priest is an actor, and he plays Father Dyer in the movie. So don't be calling me a creeper Jesuit. Now, the reason we brought that up is because I think it's the same Father Dyer in Exorcist 3 that George C. Scott is opposing and tracking down, right? So we have, once again, just like in the movie Fallen that we'll be covering with Denzel. You ever notice how Denzel does this? I cannot do a Denzel. Don't expect a Denzel. But I can do Denzel's lip when he gets mad and he starts talking, and his lip starts talking. He starts doing all right, this. That's the Denzel lip. My lip can impersonate Denzel's lip. And I have a mustache. And a lot of 80s, 90s black dudes got to have the 80s, 90s black dude mustache. We only found one, right? The black dude in Predator. I had to send a book because I challenge everybody, and my audience is so high IQ, and they know their movie facts. I had to send that dude a book because he named the black dude in Predator. I said, find me, if you can name a black actor in movies in the 80s that doesn't have a black dude mustache, I'll send you a free book. And he did. Anyway, I think we found one more too. We found 2 black guys in the 80s. That's all though. That's it. 2 black guys in the 80s and 90s that didn't have the 80s and 90s black guy mustache. So, by the way, it's Brad Dourif, right? Grima Wormtongue, Brad Dourif. So let's see this guy's article, because I came across this in Sinister Forces many years ago, about 10 years ago, and this kind of blew me away about Jeffrey Dahmer's obsession with Exorcist 3. This guy says, I've recently been considering something that didn't cross my mind. It must be hard to be a sequel. Everyone is involved. All right, this guy's blogging here. Part is boring. As horror fans, we shouldn't be too judgmental because a good portion of the genre is filled with sequels. Blah, blah, blah. We know that, dude. Obviously, I'm years late to the party on Exorcist 3. This is like some horror weirdo nerd. I'm like really late to the party on Exorcist 3, but I get off when there's a lot of blood and vomit and pea soup everywhere. But I just never got around to it, especially after seeing how bad The Exorcist 2 was. Exactly. He's right about that. But my completest blood couldn't let that stop me. Dude, this guy's weird. Maybe I shouldn't cite this guy. This guy's can't write. So when the anthology Blu-ray set came, who sits around waiting for the anthology Blu-ray set of The Exorcist? Creepy dudes. I recently picked it up. Admittedly, I had one other reason for picking up the set, but we'll get to that. This guy is a terrible writer. The basic story of The Exorcist 3 follows Kinderman, the cop who is played by... Boomer's making noise at the Boomer condo. Played by George C. Scott, who is investigating a series of murders that seem to meet the MO of the Gemini killer. He doesn't even mention that it's the... Zodiac killer. He was put to death in the electric chair 15 years prior. Is it a copycat killing? Well, it would seem the details of these killings had been substituted with fake ones in order to weed out people who were pretending to be the killer. Okay. Kinderman soon finds out that the man who fits the description is Father Damien Karras, previously thought to have been in solitary confinement, the disturbed ward of the hospital. However, the man doesn't claim to be the Father Karras. He claims to be Gemini. I won't spoil you with how Karras may or may not have survived, but they actually work it out quite nicely, which is a perk when you get to William Peter Blatty, who wrote the book and film of the first, and also the sequel, Legion, that part 3 is based on. And he's directing the film. It's nice to have a writer who actually gets to make his vision come alive. Blah, blah, blah. Do you get to the point? The Exorcist, Blatty wanted to keep the original book title. This guy's getting on my nerves. Blah, blah, blah. This is because the movie is Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite movie. As an Akron, Ohio native, I'm inclined to know everything about Jeffrey Dahmer's life. No, dude, just because you live in the same city and state of a killer, you're not inclined to know the details of his life. Only if you're a creeper weirdo. One of those facts includes his admiration of Brad Dourif's portrayal of the Gemini killer. The Gemini killer's hobby is keeping parts of the victims after he killed them, and this stuck with Dahmer. Dahmer was also a big fan of the Emperor in Star Wars, so he has this sort of narcissist type thing. It's a criminally underrated movie. All right, this guy's... I apologize. This guy's article is terrible. Because he doesn't even mention that Dahmer also had an altar that he would rock. He would watch Exorcist 3 and he would rock back and forth. And he had an occult altar. But people don't talk about that, so I wonder why. Well, that's because they don't really want to talk about those kinds of crimes. So, here we have again, this is, I don't know why they keep doing this theme. The demon possesses the serial killer, and then the cop is the one who figures it out and tracks it down. The priests never do, which is interesting. They either get possessed, which maybe that's more plausible. Maybe that's closer to reality. I mean, the Vatican itself needs to be exorcised. Can we get an exorcist to go and exorcise the demons out of the Vatican? So maybe the movies are more realistic here. But again, it's a capitalizing on the Zodiac type stuff. There's a military CIA killer element to this because the Jesuit in this was involved in Green Beret operations, Douglas Valentine, Phoenix Program stuff. So Phoenix Program comes up. Suddenly the Jesuits are all over this, which is interesting because the Jesuits were all over part 1 in terms of actual Jesuit actors being in the movie, and one of whom was accused of abuse. George C. Scott, as the atheist Jewish investigator, says, why would God invent death? Why would God invent death? Why would there be death? Oh, the death. Right. So the problem of evil argument, which is, I guess, conceived to be the ultimate anti-theist argument, which we've covered. I just did a video on problem of evil. And this makes him a skeptic, but he's good buddies with Father Dyer. Again, Phoenix Program, mind control. So this is very interesting. In both of these, and in part 1, mind control comes up. Altars, mind control, demons coming up. The dream that he has is really interesting too, and dreams keep coming up. Dream analysis, altars, and demons. Sounds like we're reading a Fritz Springmeier book. There's a vision. Let's talk about his. He starts to see weird things. George C. Scott does. He starts seeing vision. He sees a headless Jesus, which predicts the murder that the demon does when he possesses. Like, they hops around to different people, just like with Denzel fighting the demon, right? In Fallen. And then it possesses the priest, who at some point, I guess, became a Satanist. And the priest has this long argument, confrontation with Kinderman, the Jewish police detective, and they have this big argument. And the idea in the movie is that perhaps multiple murderers are actually behind the Zodiac. Isn't that interesting? Because that's actually some people's theses about the Zodiac, is that it was a bunch of different killers all under the direction of either a hit squad or something like this, or perhaps even something occultic, some people theorize. Or it was just a bunch of murders that were just arbitrarily connected and concocted as a media stunt. It could be any of those. I don't really have any set, definite opinion on the Zodiac. But it's just interesting that it's being used in the movie, and the movie presents it as not one Zodiac killer. Very interesting. Now, there's a weird dream with Fabio and midgets and cops. I'm not joking. Fabio, the actual Fabio, shows up in his dream with midgets and cops. I mean, how are these exorcist movies so weird, dude? They're like acid trips. Maybe they're all tripping acid. Now, if we remember, there was an MK Ultra Jesuit connection. Did you know that the spearhead of the CIA Jesuit Connect, John Courtney Maury, he was doing acid? So there is this Jesuit Luciferian connection. By the way, Malachi Martin even admits this. And did you know, in Exorcist 1, it's Malachi Martin that it's loosely based on? I figured it was. And then I dug up some articles that actually discussed that. And by the way, yes, Malachi Martin was very closely working with the CIA, as we have many people figured out over the years. I did a whole talk on Malachi Martin's book, which is disinformation, just like Quigley's is, but it's worth watching if you've not seen my full analysis of Keys of This Blood. That is an old video that I would recommend you go watch, because I go through the entire 800-page insightful / disinformational book, Keys of This Blood. It's one of the, I think I've included it in the Globalism Books Talk, because it's like the Roman Catholic trad version of Tragedy and Hope, and it's total Cold War disinformation. And in fact, if you've read Wim Hof, then you totally can understand what Malachi Martin's job was, because Malachi Martin is doing the same stuff. That's at 30. That should have 1 million views, especially given, look, everything, all this Vatican stuff, I've been here talking about it for a long time. I got into trad stuff in 2003. That's when I knew the Vatican was full of this crazy stuff. And that talk is from 2017, 35,000 views. It ought to have like 1 million views. Come on. I've been here telling y'all. Y'all don't listen. People, it's amazing to me that all the stuff that I've said that's been correct and people don't listen. They just come and they make snide comments. They're like, fuck you, dude. You know what, man? Screw you to heck. You fucking piece of shit. I've been here telling you about like the worst stuff. I've been right about all of it. And then people were like, man, I hope you fucking die, dude. That's literally how people act. People are just crazy. Anyway. Dude, just go kill yourself, man. Just go fucking kill yourself, dude. You trying to tell me I can't just freaking put things in my butt, dude? Just go kill yourself, man. That's all the opponents rolled into one. Meanwhile, I got a high top fade, bro. I got a high top fade. I sound like Slick Rick now. Once upon a time, got a high top fade. Once upon a time, I got a high top fade. All the haters were sticking things in the butt. Call me Slick Rick. You just fucking go kill yourself. Piece of shit. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate that J-Dyer. J-Dyer's a fucking douchebag. Once upon a time in 93, I got a high top fade. You want to be me? Where was that? All his blood in jar. Oh, all the blood in the jars. So then we start seeing the ritual, the occult ritual stuff. Autism comes back up again. I made a note about the fly. I don't know why I made a fly note. It's a Wonderful Life is written in blood. And this is reminiscent of the Manson type stuff. So they're taking iconic Americana, old, 50s pseudo sort of evangelical Christian, It's a Wonderful Life type stuff, transforming it into the dark Manson-esque blood on the wall stuff written by the demon. There's also, yes, another element. This is multiple serial killers in one, I forgot to mention. It's also the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, who, by the way, had Phoenix Program type ties. You know what? With these glasses and this, like, almost hot kid and play high top fade, I look like a skinny MC Search. They're going to expose me as a secret Jewish rapper now. Remember MC Search? Do I look like MC Search with these glasses? Let me find you old. Yeah, dude, look. I'm a secret Jewish rapper. And he got away with it. He could do that because he had the Jufro. See that? Look at that. MC Search, dog. Here it comes. Here it is. Here, there it was. And then, remember third base? Pop, pop goes the weasel, the weasel. Pop goes the weasel, because the weasel goes pop. I think I'm hotter than MC Search, so come on, y'all. Ain't nobody ever said MC Search was hot. Every day, Every day, chicks are like, "You're Chad, dude. You're Chad." Every day, there's at least one girl in the world that says you are way hotter than MC Search. Every day. That's literally a daily comment. Did MC Search get beat up by Public Enemy? I didn't know that. By who? Flavor Flav or? I was about to do my impression of what's his face. Do you know Beck tried to model his 90s voice on Public Enemy? Anyway. Where was I at, bro? Phoenix Program, Mental Institutes, Crazies. Yeah. Well, again, M. Kelcher comes back up. Something about K names. Little Kevin. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Yes, because 11. K is the 11th letter. So 11s and Ks keep coming up. Oh, yeah, there's a pretty gruesome scene of a boy who underwent a ritual killing. The doctor. Yes. So the doctor in the mental institute is also possessed, and he's into ritual magic. He's a demon doctor into ritual magic. Again, all like a lot of these MK Ultra CIA doctors were into. So here you go, bro. The movies are telling you what's really going on. And we're going to see that really clearly when we get to part 1. So, by the way, yeah, so what's the assessment that we're getting here through the Exorcism series? Totally illuminate, confirm. That's the overall assessment here. And I didn't expect that. And now I expected, there's going to be, some demon elements or something, and there'll be like, weird Catholic stuff or something. Because I haven't seen The Exorcist since I was 18. Like, I watched it at 18. Haven't thought much about it since then. And then now watching it, I'm like, damn, dog, this is crazy. Legion. So again, this comes up as Legion. This is, if you're not familiar, in the Gospels, right? When Jesus cast the demon into the swine, they say, "We are Legion, we are many." So they're like a Borg hive mind, right? The demons have this tendency to have this inverted, weird hive mind where they're all, it's like a H.R. Giger painting where they're all linked in the Borg hive mind, and I think that's why they're trying to build the hive mind, the world brain, the global brain. It is demonic. Again, we saw that in part 3. Beheading, too. This is another one, too, that you'll notice. What is the meaning of beheading? Beheading comes up in a lot of movies, a lot of films that have symbolic kind of ritual elements like this. Now, there are different, spiritist, animist, superstitious traditions about the beheading, but if you just think about it on the most basic symbolic level, the beheading is, this is what rules the body, right? Like the head rules the body. If you think about Plato, society is a body. The head represents in the Republic the leaders, the philosopher king. The body, which is controlled by the heart, right? The head's controlled by the mind. It controls the whole thing. Heart, right? It's the energy engine of the body. And it corresponds to the guardian level of the 3-tiered Platonic society. And then you have the base desires, which is the body. That's the masses. And so, yes, that's Plato's 3-tiered republic is a pyramid. Philosopher king, guardian, warrior class, they correspond to the noble virtues. Philosopher king, he corresponds at the top of the pyramid to the most enlightened and illumined, right, highest level of reason. He's closer to the forms in Platonism. And then at the bottom are the masses, and they're controlled by their base desires, and they're stupid. So that 3-tiered system is relevant because if you cut the head off, then the whole thing dies, right? And so the image of cutting the head off of Jesus is something like the removal of the leadership of the church, destroying the church, just getting rid of the Pope. And I'm not saying the Pope actually is the head of the church, but from the vantage point of people who believe like Roman Catholicism, right, they would interpret it like, oh, the head's being cut off. That's the removal of the Pope, the head. Also in the history of revolutionary thought, the removal of the head is the removal of the monarch, because the monarch is the head of the kingdom. This comes up in that movie, which actually includes Elite. Is it Lion in Winter? Am I right about that? With Peter O'Toole, and it's kind of a boring movie. It's one of those old movies that's kind of boring, but kind of a famous old movie. Yeah, that's it. Lion in Winter. It's about which king? Henry II. Yeah, if you watch that, if you remember the gross young boy thing that's spoken of there in that movie. That movie also, not only does it have the elite trauma, that stuff, but it also has the lopping off of the head of the king, right? King kill ritual, right? People have written on this, the king kill ritual. We know about this. It's well known. So, when it comes to, I remember what it is. The reason that it's KK11 in Exorcist 3, do you remember why? I remember why now. It's because that's the cell that the possessed priest is in, that the Gemini demon is possessing. He's in cell 11, Legion. 11, interesting. Way before events that later have 11 as a significant number. What's 11? It's the two pillars, right? The left and the right, Jachin and Boaz. So the movie, actually, yes, the movie does do symbolism, synchromysticism, mystical toponymy, which is king kill ritual stuff, right? And I would presume, although I don't have evidence, I didn't look too deeply into the history of part 3, I would presume it also probably most of these kinds of movies do have the tendency to have some kind of intelligence consulting. So that's what we're going to see. You're going to be really surprised if you don't know at the level of CIA and intelligence consulting that went into Exorcist 1. That's the big meat. That's the meat of this show. That's going to blow you away. But before we get to that, where are my notes on? We've got a couple terrible mentions. There's honorable mentions, and then there's terrible mentions. So we got 2 terrible mentions that don't make the cut that I didn't even finish it. Do you remember the terrible Heath Ledger movie, The Order, where Heath plays a young priest battling the liberals in the church who don't believe in actual spiritual powers? And then, this is really dumb. I don't know why this keeps coming up actually in a lot of these types of movies, is the idea of the priest who invites the demons into himself. This is so stupid. Why would anybody do that? That's just completely retarded. But actually, Malachi Martin, the fraudster himself, promotes the book by M. Scott Peck, who says he does that. I'm not joking. M. Scott Peck has a book on possession where he says something about inviting the demons into himself. And I think Malachi Martin even mentions that in his Hostage to the Devil book, if you've not read Hostage to the Devil. And Malachi Martin, it shows in that book, unless the book's all a bunch of BS, which we can't believe Malachi Martin given the high level of lies that he's involved in. If some of those stories are believed to be true, then Malachi Martin was actually hanging around the elite Hollywood satanic circles. That's believable. It's plausible, but coming from him, we can't. He's a source of disinformation, so we don't know. But he actually does have a chapter in Hostage to the Devil on that, if you've not read it. And keep in mind, Malachi Martin is the basis for the story in Exorcist. That's who it is. So the Order, this terrible movie with Heath Ledger, begins with stigmata, saints, and all this prelest nonsense in Roman Catholicism. Evil is in the Vatican. It's in the church. The smoke of Satan has entered the church. Yeah, no duh. There's a group of Latin Mass trads that keep popping up in this. The dogmatic head of the church, however, we discover is the Black Pope. This movie actually has the Black Pope in it. Now, in the Order, it's very Hollywoodized, but I actually could see it being this way. Do you remember the scene? It's like the only memorable scene in this dumb movie is when he goes into the catacombs. There's a goth techno club. Like, if you want to meet the Luciferian Black Pope, you have to go to this goth techno club. I guess they're in Italy, and it's like Marilyn Manson's there, and not really, but people that look like Marilyn Manson are there, and it's, I don't know, industrial bands are playing, and people with leather are licking each other because that's how you signify evil, is leather and licking in an industrial club. And then there's a secret doorway, and you got to go, like, have the magic password of, I don't know what, you're expecting to see Trinity and Neo there, right? And you walk down the steps, and it's the catacombs under Rome, under this techno goth club, and the Black Pope is down there, and he wears a black veil, which that part, I'll give him credit, that was like the one creepy kind of element in the movie. And he's down there with like Versace and shit, like he's wearing like Gucci, Versace, satanic vestments, like sewn by Gucci and Versace or something, and he's got a Gucci veil, and I'm thinking that's probably, like, I could see Francis really being in a catacomb under a goth club in Italy. Couldn't you see that? I could see that being the case. But it's Peter Weller, if you've not seen it, right? Peter Weller, Buckaroo Banzai, is playing the Black Pope, and he's a normal cardinal, I think. In his daytime appearance, he's a cardinal, and then secretly he's the Dark Pope, the Black Pope. But I guess in our day, the Black Pope is the actual Pope, so the two have merged, right? That's really the only relevant thing in this super stupid movie. They do have the Theosophic Council. That's pretty interesting. And they talk, the way this movie construes all this in a stupid way is like the open Vatican is fake. The real Christians are the Gnostic circle that Heath Ledger's involved in. They're the true Gnostic Catholics within the church. Anyway, it's really stupid. So it doesn't really make the cut. It's all about basically CGI demons. That's all it is. It's pretty terrible. That you got to kill with a ritual dagger. This is the way, I guess, like in the mind of Hollywood. I love how they mix all the religions. Like they'll if it's an end times demon movie, they'll always cite things that aren't even in the Bible. Like in the book of the Apocalypse, chapter 43, section 375, it reads, "When ye demons hath opened thine gates, shall come the end upon the world at 2003. some total bullshit. Like not even close to chapters or verses or how, like it's if you just say it in Old English or Latin, right? Like, quicumque ex fontibus patribus, right? And then it's Hollywood's funny when it does this stuff because it's so over. And then you have to kill the devil with a ritual dagger from magic or something. Like the Antichrist can only be killed with the devil's blade that cometh from the medieval monastery of Our Lady of La Leche. But that's pretty... Actually, I could see why Hollywood would think that. Because if you watch the Ortho Bro Sneck interview that we did, all that crazy stuff is pretty Hollywood, isn't it? Anyway, this movie's dumb. It only makes it to the dishonorable mentions. Constantine also makes it into the dishonorable mentions. Actually, Fallen is pretty bad too. It's pretty much a stink bomb. All of these movies, they smell like Linda Blair's pea soup. Did you know that's the porridge in hell? It's the porridge. When you go to Hades, they serve you pea porridge. Please, sir, could I have some more? Could I have some more ale porridge? And then you immediately puke it up because you're hungry. It's hell, right? You're super hungry all the time. And all there is the pea porridge, the orphanage of hell pea porridge. And it's an epicac. It makes you puke, but you always want to eat it because you're hungry. Constantine, Rachel Weisz, come on. It's the end of the world. There's Nephilim, blah, 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 blah. It's dumb. It's comic book level stuff. It's like Spawn. It's like a better version of Spawn. Spawn's one of the worst movies of all time. With John Leguizamo as the farting clown. Remember that? But it's the only thing I'm going to say about this is that the devil sacrifices himself. I mean, this is so stupid. Essentially, it's Luciferian. Right? This is a Luciferian movie, you could say. Because the devil sacrifices himself for others. We get this message that if you really understand what Lucifer was up to, then you'll understand that he was the real hero because he got man free will. He's the one who sacrificed everything for man. Yeah, right. And then God's the mean, archon deity who has requirements or something. But Lucifer wants you to be free. So not much to say about that other than, whoa, my movies, they have a lot of guns. Do you like my Keanu impersonation? There are a lot of guns in my movies. Whoa. People actually liked the Keanu better than I expected that they would. I didn't even know I could do a Keanu until I watched a few Keanu interviews, and I was like, I do a pretty good Keanu. And then a lot of people in the comments said that was up there at the top. I don't know. Maybe. Pretty good. And that's like I haven't even worked on that Keanu. That's just like on the spot Keanu. Okay. Last stinker. Fallen, 1998 with Denzel. Okay, Denzel. If you touch somebody, you get possessed. This is dumb. Sorry, this element was really stupid. Like, as if the contact is what makes possession easier. I mean, why? It doesn't make any sense. It's the same idea as the Exorcist 1 with not Exorcist Part 1, but Exorcist 3 with the serial killer who, we can't find the serial killer. Oh, but it's a demon who's hopping into the different bodies. Now, one thing I did like about this one was I do like that idea of everybody being linked into some kind of weird mind control thing. Like they're all spiritually linked, like a Borg, and they do the same evil actions. That does seem to be real. There's something to that. But I don't think it's the same. It's not necessarily Well, it could be a demon hopping around, but is it the same demon hopping in? Well, it's like Legion, right? So, yeah, there's something to that, I would say. Now, Azazel, it comes up in the Old Testament. He does come up in, it may be I'm just going from memory here. But Leviticus, 16 and 17, I think. But that might be just in the Masoretic text. So I'm going from memory here. It may not be in the Septuagint, so it may actually be in the Septuagint and not the Masoretic text. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but probably somebody in the comments will remember. I don't have my Bible sitting beside me, but if you guys remember, so the Day of Atonement, when they let the goat go into the wilderness, it says one of the texts is for Azazel. But again, it may be only in the Masoretic text. I'm not sure. People can look that up. Time is on my side. And that's because in this one, the demon likes the Rolling Stones. Manly P. Hall is mentioned. What else? Is that about it? Oh, the apocalypse is mentioned, right? So we're supposed to get this end times theme going on here. And, I mean, if they've used that more or kind of played that up, like maybe we're supposed to feel like it's the end times. But there's absolutely nothing in this movie that has anything to do with the end times. It's almost like, yeah, they just threw Revelation 18 into the movie for a gimmick. Like it's its own apocalyptic MacGuffin or something. I ended up falling asleep in the most recent viewing of this movie because it wasn't very good. Denzel's framed. It's actually the demon. Yeah. We think it's Donald Sutherland. Oh, no, it's not Donald Sutherland. It's actually John Goodman who's possessed by Azazel. Okay, well, not that great. Kind of a stinker upon review. Now we come to the meat of the episode. Exorcist 1. Crazy stuff going on here. What is going on in Exorcist 1? Well, the first little tidbit is that The Exorcist was a controversial film because the U.S. government and military tested out techniques in the film. Yes, of course they did. Now, you've heard me in many interviews talk about this, right? Using film to test people, to do experiments, subliminals. Well, it's in The Exorcist. The film it so scared audiences that people were fainting and vomiting and having nightmares after the film. The real question is, why did this happen? Considering that there were many scary films with similar content prior to this one that never had that. Well, because guess what? The CIA was involved in this movie. Yes. The movie is quite literally almost like, or it's attached to MK Ultra. William Friedkin, who directed it, and William Peter Blatty used a few similar tactics to increase the tensions in the film. Blatty wrote the novel in 1971. It's based on the Malachi Martin stories. Blatty had served as chief of psychological warfare in the Air Force in 1971. This means that on top of creating effective propaganda in warfare situations, he was also utilizing psychological warfare techniques of military into Hollywood techniques. Who wrote 2 books about that? This dude. Given that the movie was marketed as a horror movie, it could potentially scare you to death, blah, blah, blah. That was all marketing. And then it says they used techniques of subliminals. Now, it was really obvious to me when I watched the movie this time around that they flashed the face of that ugly chick. And it's a woman who's got like Kiss level makeup on. And they flash it. I saw it at least twice. They flash the face in like dream sequences. You know, when the priest has the dream, they flash it. So that was one thing. The demon known as Pazuzu, they were flashing the demon frame at 0.2 of a second multiple times in the movie. I caught it twice. I don't know exactly how many times they used it, but so that's one technique of subliminals that they used. Let's see. The demon's face was one of pure terror. It looks like a retard from Kiss. It's not that scary. So that's one aspect that's key to note here. Next aspect, as we said, the Exorcist priest there is Malachi Martin, who we know is a CIA-connected dubious character. Now, I also dug up this essay from an intelligence journal. It's called Counterspy, Journal of Intelligence, and it says, was The Exorcist a CIA script? One of the most widely advertised and popular but least understood films to audiences in several years is The Exorcist, based on the novel by William Blatty. Some background to the film. This is fascinating. Check this out. This is the meat of the whole thing here. This is a big vindication also, by the way, of Esoteric Hollywood, the books I wrote. It says, after Blatty graduated from Georgetown, that's why Georgetown comes up in the movie, obviously, he worked for the CIA in Lebanon in the 1950s in the information warfare. Info psyops. Later, Blatty returned to Washington to become the psychological warfare chief, branch division chief of the Air Force. As we said, his job involved military techniques, popular anti-communist sentiment, and Cold War foreign policy. So here is why the Jesuits, Blatty, Hollywood all come into play here. Not only that, but the Jesuit actor in the movie, who we learn it looks like it was a creeper, is also hanging out making this movie with the CIA guy who made the movie. Do you see the connect? Now, what do we know from Wim Hof, who really exposes all this? We know that this was to make the Cold War seem like the commies were coming to get us, and that was a farce, because it wasn't really the commies. There were commies, they're not good, but the real bad guys were the Fortune 100, the top of the pyramid. And guess what? These people were the ones foisting upon everyone the terror that the commies were going to get us. Now, what does The Exorcist do? Makes you afraid. The Exorcist is a CIA psychological warfare, illuminate, confirm, MK Ultra scare tactic. Listen to this. As an example of similar work carried out by PSYOPs of the U.S. foreign policy, in one instance, it orchestrated an exodus of Catholics from North Vietnam to South Vietnam in collaboration with Dr. Tom Dooley, who Blatty quotes in the book. Among others, extensive campaigns were carried out by the Catholic Relief Service, which was a CIA front, obviously, and local Catholic leaders, and an American psychological warfare team combined to drive peasants to the south of the demilitarized zone by telling them Virgin Mary apparitions have departed and gone to South Korea. South Vietnam. And they said, Christ has gone to the south. So they spread these BS apparition stories. Oh. Now, this is the second time I've uncovered intelligence research on staged apparitions. The other one, I think I cited in Esoteric Hollywood 2. You can still pull up that journal. So the massive flight of people over the demilitarized zone was part of an extensive, well-conducted, objective, successful American psychological warfare operation. And this is cited in the Indochina Story by Bantam Books, 1970. In the post-1960s era, when a majority of youth on and off campus display a frustration with traditional activities. I don't know when this essay was written. It's old, probably from the 70s. It doesn't have a date. You could pull it up, though. It's just titled The Exorcist, a CIA script. And you'll get this old essay. Social conscience and faith and identity are all connected. To quote Father Marin in the book, I think the devil's target is not the possessed. It is all of us, the observer. There you go. The priest in the book is telling you the real story. This is my battery's about to die. Let me plug the computer in. This is pretty based material here. Have you ever heard anybody talk about this? I mean, I'm sure some people have talked about it. I'm not saying I'm the first, but I mean, think about what this means. What are the implications of this? And now when you see Francis blessing goddess statues, is it not evident that this is a bunch of hoaxery and fraudery? A bunch of con men? Vatican officials admit the statue that they blessed and prayed to is not Mary. It's Pachamama. Now, I didn't know who Pachamama was. Guess who Pachamama is? I'm not joking. I put it on Twitter, if you didn't see my Twitter. Do you know who Pachamama is? Pachamama. I don't care how it's pronounced. I don't give a shit. Nerds trying to correct me about, you're not saying it correct. This is from Indiana Jones. Can you believe this? We live in a world so crazy where Exorcist movies are real, but they're psyops, but they're also real. The Pope is blessing idols openly. And by the way, dumb trads, so did John Paul II. He did all the same stuff. It goes all the way back. Pachamama is from Indiana Jones, dude. I'm not joking. Look at this. Look it up on the Indiana Jones wiki. Do you remember the part when he has to put the bag of sand up there to get the gold idol? Oh, come on. I can't get this. It's Pachamama. Somebody said it looked like Joe Rogan. That's what Jim Boss said. You think I'm joking? By the way, it's not this. The idol itself doesn't look the same. I'm saying that it looks different. If you look at the one that Francis blessed, it's totally different looking, but it's the same spirit. It's the same. The idol, the demon that it represents or whatever, it's the same one. Pachamama. Right? Indiana Jones. They took the stones from you. Look, dude. Look at that. That's crazy. Inca fertility ritual. Now, you heard my joke. Remember, my other joke was, if we're going to be doing this, how long until the Vatican is doing ecumenical activities with Mola Ram? Right? I should write my own Babylon Bee headlines. You know who Mola Ram is? Remember the Thuggy cult? Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva, Om Nam Shiva. Ah, Kalima, Kalima Shakti De. Kali Ma protects us. We are her children. Remember when they give Indy the black juice of Kali Ma? How long until the Vatican's doing that? Maybe Francis. Maybe Francis is Mola Ram. Kalima, Kalima Shakti De. I'm not sure. You will understand the power of Kalima. And the Jewish God will fall. And the Christian God will fall. And the Hindu God will fall. Kalima. Look, there's Francis. There's Francis doing an ecumenical prayer service with Mola Ram. The Thuggy cult, dog. It always cracks me up when Indy gets under mind control. See, the cults know mind control. All the CIA mind control stuff, they just got it from all the cults. They got the black juice of Kali, and they're pouring it in everybody's throats. And the whole world is turning into a bunch of thuggy cult members. That's the new movie to understand the world. How do we understand what's happening, Jay? What is going on in the world? Watch Temple of Doom. We now live in Temple of Doom. That's the final result of this. The world has now become Temple of Doom, and it's run by Mola Ram. That's what we're up against. That's where we are. Kalima. Was there anything else in here? Let's see. Oh, did you notice too in Exorcist that so the mom is an actress, and her she's involved in student activism. Her movie is about student activism. So, let's get to the movie here. Exorcist 1. Thank you guys. Been a great stream. We're going to close up here with the meat of the stream in the Exorcist analysis. How many nerds we got on a Saturday? 304 nerds on a Saturday. Wow, that's cool. By the way, right up after this, I don't think we're going to be able to do it on my channel. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to switch over to Tristan's channel because the computer that I do the interviews on is where OBS was crashing earlier. So the reason that I couldn't get the stream to work is because on that computer now OBS crashes because it's not compatible with Catalina. For some reason it doesn't crash on this computer, but I can't do Skype interviews on this computer because all that patch crap is on the other computer for OBS. And it took me like half a day to figure out how to do that. So, and I've not put it all on this computer. So I think we'll have to do this. We were going to do it on my channel, but I think we're going to have to do it on Tristan's channel. So what's up next? Right after this stream, guess what, all you nerds? Hop on over to Primal Edge Health because we are going to cover. We will cover the Osho. Do you know the Bhagwan? There are many religions. Did you notice his whistle? He has the whistle, Rajneesh. Many religions, and the Jesus is the one I follow, but not the Christianity. You could say, I am follower of Jesus, not a follower of Christianity. How is it not obvious to anybody that guy's a total con man? I mean, come on. So, but I watched all the Osho documentary, and it all, what is it, like 8 parts, 7 parts? It's like 6-7 hours. I watched it. So, wow. I think they should have condensed that thing. But anyway, we're going to do the stream. Tristan and I, after this, we're doing that. So look for that over on Primal Edge Health, as long as we can do it there. Because I know we were planning on doing it on my channel. I don't think it'll work. So, summing up here. Exorcist 1. Now again, there's weird medical issues. ADD comes up, attention deficit disorder. That was not well known at that time, and they're prescribing Ritalin. This has come up multiple times in this series. Big pharma prescriptions for issues that weren't even well known yet. Autism, ADD, these big pharma mind control things. The CIA made this movie. Keep that in mind. Pazuzu is hiding himself as Captain Howdy, and the Ouija board is the gateway that Linda Blair gets possessed. The mom is a Hollywood-connected actress. She's an agnostic atheist, and she's involved in a movie that is about student activism, which is interesting. Because, keep in mind, this is a Cold War neocon CIA movie. So they want to promote the idea that the commies are promoting all the atheism, and you need to just follow Papa, even though the papacy is evil. But, as Wim Hof shows in his books, this is because the CIA co-opted the papacy through John Courtney Murray and others. Detailed without any shadow of doubt, no debating it. Case closed. Nail in the coffin. Settled. Wim Hof has proven it. So she undergoes a change in her personality after she tries to talk to spirits on the Ouija board, and it's Captain Howdy, but Captain Howdy is actually secretly Pazuzu. She gets progressively worse. The mom can't figure out what's going on. She has boomer mom breakdown. She becomes wine mom, screaming, yelling, going nuts. And here's the weird part. She's hanging out in elite DC circles with Novus Ordo priests. One of the priests in the movie is a real priest who's the Jesuit creeper accused of abuse in real life. This is crazy. Now, the other priest, Father Karras, who ends up, I guess, possessed in part 3, right? He's the demon-possessed priest in part 3. He's the doubting priest. He thinks spirits aren't real. He's a Greek guy, but he's doing the Novus Ordo. It's kind of interesting. I mean, there are obviously Greek Catholics, but still. They try to say it's science. Oh, it's just temporal lobe. She has a lesion in her temporal lobe. Father Karras says, oh, I'm a psychiatrist. Let's just give her the psychiatric treatment. Turns out it's demons. And then there's an interesting line by, who said this? The detective who's investigating the murders, and he says, all this desecration of the churches, is it witchcraft? This, once again, also prior to the Satanic Panic. Church desecrations, which I didn't understand this in the movie. Maybe I missed it, but there weren't any scenes of church desecrations. The detective just talks about it. So maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe they cut that scene or something. So this is kind of setting the stage for the Satanic Panic, I think. The doctor says she believes her body is invaded by aliens, alien entities. That was an interesting line. Aliens as demons. I don't know why they keep showing the staircase. Is there like a Masonic Jacob's ladder to hell type idea of the staircase? And by the way, I don't think it's the staircase in Joker is not the staircase in Exorcist. Does anybody know why the staircase is there? What's the deal with the staircase other than like a Masonic Illuminist type thing? The degrees of the staircase in Masonry. Oh, there is a desecrated altar in the film. Okay. Thank you. Green and gold. If you do the gold membership, you get access to the archives at JaysAnalysis. If you just do the silver membership, you get access to the part 2s that I post every few days. So there's no way to give immediate access on YouTube. So if you do the level up membership, then I give you access to JaysAnalysis, which I'll post that again. If you upped your membership, I saw a couple people did in the last couple days. I'll post the link, the sign-in link for the archives at JaysAnalysis. So basically, you get access to more content. That's what the difference is. There's no difference between the content on YouTube and the content at the website. It's the same. So people keep asking that question too. It's just another way to do it because some people don't want to subscribe through credit card or PayPal. They just want to click on YouTube. It's also cheaper. Like if you just want the most recent part 2s, then that green level silver is the cheapest way to go. Let's see. Does anybody know what the staircases mean? The mystery schools. I thought about that. I know that that's where the priest dies at the end, but okay. So just foreshadowing of the death. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Father Dyer. That's weird that it's my name. That is kind of weird. I'm not making it. They did it on purpose because they knew I would be on YouTube. No, it's not predictive programming for me. Dyer is a pretty common name, by the way. There's a lot of people in the world that have that last name. Do you know in the book, supposedly it's not a Ouija board. They make it that self-pleasuring is the cause of the possession. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a bit much. But he is the head of CIA PSYOPs, right? Mr. Blatty was. So when you read The Exorcist, you're reading CIA psychological warfare. Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying that there's no spiritual powers. I'm just saying that people use religions to manipulate. That's the whole thing with cults. That's what we've been talking about a lot. So we want to ferret the wheat from the chaff here. That's what we're trying to do. Interesting aspect too when the priest talks about don't interact with the demon, because he says the demon, it's almost like, I think Blatty is calling himself maybe in a way here the character of the demon, because the way that the priest describes the tactic of the demon is what happens in psychological warfare. He says that don't interact with him directly because he's going to make up stories to confuse you. He will mix lies with the truth, and he will use this as an attack pattern. That's what the priest says. Guess what? That's what psychological warfare is. That's what disinformation is. Now, if you've watched the Orthodox movie The Island, I thought that was really good. That's probably a much more accurate version of exorcism, because if you remember the elder guy, the guy who's more or less the Orthodox elder, the Fool for Christ guy, when he does his exorcism, it's not floating around and staircases collapsing and houses falling in and dressers flying across the room and vomit, shooting out of people at fire hose level pressure. It's like he takes the girl to the island, she flops around and screams, and he prays, and then she's healed. I mean, that seems a little more, biblical than this Hollywood. I mean, this is like way over the top, especially the scene, the bloody scene. I'm not going to mention that on YouTube because it wouldn't be appropriate, but you know what I'm talking about. And then we see Pazuzu appear. So this was the aspect, because I had not watched this, as I said, since I was 18. And I remember the demon appearing, but I thought, well, it's just a demon. I didn't realize that, it's Pazuzu. Pazuzu is the little idol that was uncovered. So I got a little superstitious in this movie too, like as if this discovering some little stupid figurine is going to result in all this. I mean, again, they're playing on people's superstitions, right? And the CIA is very adept at that. We just read one of many. There's many articles. And by the way, so when you start thinking about that, guess what? Medjugorje, Fatima, they're psychological operations, brah. Just blew your worldview up. I'm not saying that there's no spiritual warfare. I'm not saying that there can't be miracles. I'm just saying this stuff is psyops. Admittedly. So there you go. All right. Tristan and I will be on very soon. In the next few minutes, head on over to Primal Edge Health. Get ready, because we're going to have to do the stream on his channel, because I don't know what we're going to do about OBS. I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to do... I'll do the super chats. I guess I'm going to have to do Zoom. I guess I can just do Zoom for all of it. And screw Skype and screw Mac Catalina, because it's not working. All right. Because you can't update OBS on the Mac now, because OBS crashes when you try to update it. So there's no way to fix it. All right, super chats. Let's get to those real quick. Tristan, if you're watching, I'm sorry I'm late. This was supposed to start like 40 minutes earlier than it did, but everything is collapsing and crashing. Now I can't see people's super chats. What's going on here? What the heck is going on with this stupid... Man, what is going on with Macs, man? They are just messing up, dude. They've been so easy for so long. And now... What is up with this? All right, let me try refreshing this page. Maybe that'll work. Because I can't see anybody's super chats. They're stuck. And also, there's no audio today. That's why I kept fooling around, too. I can't hear anybody's audio. Damn it. What is up with computers, man? Thought we were supposed to get the Utopia, and none of them work. All right, I think there's another way I can look at... Pop out the page to see all the super chats. Where's that at? I can only see 3 of the super chats and it won't scroll down. Okay, well, I will read these super chats later because I have to go. I think I can find them in another screen, but I can only see 2. Paul Eldritch says, Top Gun, top quality work, my dude. Tutoring would be a rad service to offer. Bro, bruh, I do offer tutoring. Go to my Patreon. Yeah, tutor people all the time. But thank you, Palmer Elric. Be glad to offer tutoring. Orthonat, $5. What is your take on the law of attraction? Are these old questions? I think law of attraction is baloney. Power of manifestation. Nah, a bunch of new age nonsense. But thank you for that, Orthonat. Marco Kalabic. Just a joke. What was just a joke? Josh Baker, $2. I can't see the tweet, or the message. So all I can see is those 3 super chats right now. So anyway, I apologize. I will reread the super chat. Somebody did another one. Okay, I can see Exorcism. Maybe that's all there is. It's just maybe that's why y'all were. Oh, that's what it is. Y'all were cheapos today, and didn't give me your mammon. So there's not many super chats. That's what it is. It's okay. All right. Sorry. Lone Slav. He says, why don't we go by the lunar calendar? It seems the most biblical and natural. Because of the New Testament. That's why. And because of the development of the church in Byzantium. So look up the Byzantine calendar. Look up the Byzantine calendar creation narrative. That's very important. All right. So not a lot of super chats, but that's okay. It was still a fun stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Crazy, crazy stuff. There you go. Huge vindication of everything I wrote in my books. Subscribe to JaysAnalysis. You don't get information, material, and entertainment and comedy of this high IQ level anywhere else. Well, maybe in a few places. But it's still up there, bro. And head on over to Primal Edge Health and watch us do our Bagwan Rajanish stream. I Gabe J. You did. I know. I appreciate you guys. I'm not bitching. I'm just saying. It was a nightmare to get this stuff to run because, again, look it up. Look up OBS compatibility with Mac Catalina. It doesn't work. So look it up. Anyway, God bless everybody. Great Saturday. Hope you enjoyed the Spooktober stream. Remember, there was a Spooktober stream that we did last year. Blade, Life Force, Monster Squad, Lost Boys, Michael. Really funny stream, and the algorithm didn't like it. But so here's another Spooktober stream. I think we're going to do another Spooktober stream, and I think I'm going to do Antichrist movies. They're so dumb. Antichrist movies. There's 1 or 2 that are okay, but Hollywood Antichrist movies are really dumb and funny. So we might do those next. God bless everybody. Have a good weekend and Sunday.